So they reached out to me. I was not going to reach out to them again. So I think you said they'll probably circle around.
I did say that.
And they circled around a lot faster than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be end of the summer, but that's fine.
So I'll let you know what happens with those guys. But so Michael, where I'm at is I've just am in the process of selling my company to my sons. I'm 59 years old. I'm not ready to retire, but I am ready to get on with the next season of life. And sort of like Cody, I really love helping blue collar businesses. And I'm really learning this a lot from Cody. Really, it goes to the freedom principle: be free from their business and get their businesses structured properly. Um, so I'm just, I have people that are actually reaching out to me. What I'm finding is initially people want to get out of the chaos. They want things fixed, but they really don't.
Right.
It's interesting. They're in that. There's a name for that trap, but
The
they're
rat
caught
race,
up in this trap.
the
What's it
hamster
called?
wheel. I don't know.
Yeah, they're caught up in the hamster wheel because they think you don't know my business. You don't know what I'm going through, and it's all pretty identical. I've had enough businesses and done enough business to see that the principles work no matter
Right.
what business you're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Same
You're
stuff,
right.
different business.
Yeah.
There's the way I understand it when I was reading Michael Gerber is there's technicians and there's business owners.
Right.
The entrepreneurial myth that Gerber's talking about is I'm the best technician here. Fill in the
Yeah.
blank of what type of technician. Are you an architect,
Yeah.
a bricklayer, a lawyer, a doctor? And you think, well, because I'm the best at that, I can start and run a business and be the
Hmm.
best at that too. And, you know, they have no idea about all that it takes, all the administration
Hmm.
of running a business. They're just a good technician. They're a one-off. They do that one thing well,
Hmm.
and that's great. Don't get me wrong. The best thing you can do is hire the people that are great technicians,
Hmm.
and you know that because you've been the business owner. You've run the businesses. You're the guy that knows many things
Yeah.
of what it takes to run a business, and they think it's just the one thing. Well, because I'm the best architect, people will naturally hire me, and that's not true.
Hmm.
But try telling that guy you don't know how to run a business, you only know how to draft a house and make it beautiful. That's
Yeah.
what you know. No, I know what I'm doing. You don't understand because you've only done this. You were a lawyer,
Yeah.
and that's true. If it was just a technician lawyer, then a lawyer would do a poorer job of running an architectural firm than an architect because he wouldn't even know what
Yeah.
he's doing, right?
Yeah.
But guys like I'm trying to become a guy like you. I've read all the books. I've tried to do it, and that's why I brought Cody in. But when Cody's talking, I'll shut up and listen. He'll say, "Are you still there?" Yeah, I'm writing this down.
Is that the
And
E-Myth you're referring to? Is that Michael Gerber, the E-Myth?
yeah, the E-Myth, yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Gerber, and
Yeah. I've read that book a few times when I was hardcore technician because nobody else can do it as good as me.
see, and I'm 57, and I'm realizing I've always wanted to be a businessman, and I tried, but I didn't really know how to. I didn't have the guts to make the next step. And as a lawyer, it's not hard to make money, even if you're a terrible businessman, because your billable hours are so high.
Hmm.
Like I said in one of the other phone calls. But guys like you are not a dime a dozen. Technicians, whatever field, even good lawyers are a dime a dozen. You know,
Hmm.
quite frankly, they may want 350 an hour, but they're still a dime a dozen. You can
Yeah.
find a bunch of guys, that don't have their own law firm and want to work for you because even if they have an entrepreneurial moment, They'll realize very quickly, I don't know what I'm doing running this business. I hate doing the paperwork other than being a lawyer.
Yeah, they bid the jobs, build the jobs, collect the money. I mean, I've told people that really love being a technician and have a business, and they really love being a technician. I'm like, then stay very small. Don't grow.
I was a solo practitioner.
Yeah, so
See,
stay small. If you love, I would
you're
know a
exactly
few
right.
people that love working with their hands. They get enough work. I'm like, don't grow. Just do what you love doing. Know your limits. Don't take more than you can do, and have a ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I always remember Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry. A man ought to know his own limitations. Remember when he said? And I never forgot that. And I know
Yeah.
my own limitations, and that's why I read in Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You
Hmm.
need to build. If you don't know how to do it, if it's not just organic for you, get a team together. And
Right.
Cody's the main guy on my team. I mean, there's
Mhm.
other people, but I know more of what Cody knows than anyone on my team. They may know finance for wealth
Mhm.
building, they know real estate, but someone that really knows how to put a business together is not a dime a dozen. They're the
Mhm.
unique gem. I'm hoping I'm a diamond in the rough at 57. See, you're just finishing. I feel like I'm just getting started. My
Well,
wife, my wife hated raising kids.
I'm not quite there yet. I mean, I'm on my way, but the stuff I'm learning is, I mean, it's taken me a long. I've been a technician 90 some percent of my career. Even with, at one time I had 50 employees, I still jumped in and did stuff.
Right.
And so I refuse to do that now. That's where these people want me to come in and fill a role when they don't do their business. And I've been offered some pretty good jobs filling a role, but it's like, that's not what I want to do. It's not going to help your business long term. It'll help your business in one area as long as I'm there. But what would happen is they're going to want to drag you into other parts. And it's like, not going to do that. But I just don't want to be part of a disorganized business again, you know?
Right.
And
I want to help
Yeah.
so,
people build extraordinary businesses. I made a
right.
post a couple of weeks ago about being triple X, and that was about
Hmm.
being extraordinary, exceptional, and the example.
Hmm.
And I wrote
I
another
like
biz
that. I gotta
I
write
wrote
that
another
down.
I wrote another post today about who I'm actually working for when I go to work in a business. Most
Hmm.
owners think that I'm coming in and working for them. But the reality
Hmm.
is that when I'm there, I'm actually working for the employees because I know that it's the
Mm.
people in the business that are going to have the biggest impact and the biggest determination on the success of the owner. And so I love that it's just the three of us on the call tonight because it's very intimate and we're all on the same page.
Hmm.
And I work the most closely with the two of you out of all the other people that I work with. So I want to circle back to Michael Gerber and let a cat out of the bag regarding his book. He calls his book the Emyth, but he
Right.
doesn't quite come out and say what exactly the Emyth is. He hints around at it, and he talks about it, and it's a great book title. But what the Emyth actually is it's not as much about the entrepreneurship E as it is about the employee E.
Hmm.
And what he's
Hmm.
actually getting at, and I think you have to pay him for his high level coaching for him to come out and say it, is that the myth is that you take the mindset of the employee, that the employee needs to win, which is the belief that success is a function of hard work. That's why Gerber talks a lot in his narrative about nobody does it better than me. And those words have flown out of my mouth plenty of times. I absolutely know it's true because when I
Right.
had my business, I was the best and I made sure everybody knew it. So that
Hmm.
why did I do that? A couple of reasons. First reason was I had the mindset mindset of an employee, and that was success comes from hard work. But here's the other thing that is really detrimental to owners that are locked into an employee mindset trying to run a business. And that is that when you see yourself as an employee in your mind, even though you're like, I own the business, but you act like an employee, you think like an employee, what happens is you see your other team members as competition.
Competition.
Mm. That's so good. That is so good.
Well, it's how we're trained in school,
Yeah.
you know. And what I had this discussion. My daughter's a teacher, and we were discussing group work. And I said, you know what always happens in group work? The best technician gets the job done because they don't want to trust the other technicians
Right.
to do their job.
Right.
Unless you happen to get two, good students in the same group, then they'll just divide up the group. They won't really work together. They just divide up the group and get their part done, But and it's just the system that's been created is for competition, not cooperation. It's not like Japan. The
Right.
Japanese are trained from youth, to cooperate. Now, what do you lose when you're good at cooperation and not at competition? Individuality. So we have a lot of great innovative things by innovative individuals. But Japan takes those innovations and makes them better through a cooperative construct in their businesses. Ford made the car, he put it on assembly line. How can we make it better? So we have, lean certification that you learn how to look at things like the Japanese do that we don't naturally. And the trick is to, Cody always talks about this. Cooperation. You need a team to do this. If I'm on my own, I go back into competitive thinking. When I'm working with Cody, it's always cooperative. It's always, okay, how can we get there? Because Cody keeps the thing right in front of him, and I don't. And so when we talk, it's easier for me to keep that thing in front of me. And it takes 30 days to break a habit. And how long have we been talking? My mindset is changing, but because we're not talking, 24/7 for 30 days, I haven't been able to diverge. So the people you're working with, you're having to move them off a base that they've been trained in since they were a child. You recognize it.
This is really helpful for my conversation this week coming up. And actually, the one thing that you said here, I'm typing on my phone. I'm not doing other things, just so you know.
No,
In my notes sometimes.
I know you.
But well, but and I see this in me, and I see this because I was the best salesman. I sold more than anybody. I figured out all the problems better than anybody, and it's just hitting me that because I was working with my sons, that I was in competition with my sons because these things I could do very well in the business. And that's when you act like an employee, you see yourself as competition. That's so good.
Yeah. Well, you see,
just can't see it as
people.
competition. The area that I work the best in, I've been a general contractor for 30 years. It's funny. When I step back as general contractor and work all the trades, because you're helping the employees. It's like you got to look at yourself as a GC in everything, because you're helping all the teams come together and succeed working together. But I think in a business, it's weird. Even in my own business, I worked well with the subs. I worked better with the subs than I did with the people in my office.
That's because you could step back from that and say, he owns that company. If he screws it up, I'll just fire his ass. He won't be on the next job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But see, with employees, you have to you have to craft a vision like we've been doing and a mission
Right.
that they will buy into and want to be a part of because they see themselves as something bigger than themselves that they want to be a part of. They want to be able to say, like the guy, just got my new home, the final project manager that's been coming around making sure all the punch list is done. I can tell he loves for working for Greenstone Builders. He's very proud of the fact that he works for them. He's worked for them for 15 years now, and he's a pretty young guy. You know, he's like Cody's age. You know, he's right in that sweet spot in middle age. He knows what he wants to do. He doesn't want to be the owner. He likes what he's doing. He has a vision of what he's doing. He takes pride in every home himself. They inculcated in him the proper vision and mission and purpose. And you know, I'd love to steal a guy like that away, but I'm not ready. And he's not in law. He doesn't have the technical aspects, but he's the type of person you want as an employee, but you have to create that vision for them or they'll leave to someplace else. You know, I can tell he's heard, he's empowered to do his job. And that's what I want to do. You know, I all these things that Cody teaches me or points out, sometimes it's like I see things, but until I read it in a book or Cody points it out with one of his things, like he just, you know, you just had an epiphany when he said that, you know, that people are in competition with their employees. Once it's crystallized, then you go, oh, I'm competing right now with my employee, you know, and you have to step back from that. And I think also the fear is, though, to add to that, it's not just that you're in competition, but you're afraid they're going to take your business and go with it somewhere else. And Cody helped me with that. He even said, well, that's a great compliment that they want to learn that from you. You've done the job the right way if they want to go duplicate. But most people, when they have that entrepreneurial moment and go do that, they find out how hard it is and they come back again.
Right. I
Cody's just smiling. I can see him smiling because he's like, oh, it's nice to hear the student parrot back what the master's been saying all these years.
Well, and I have a story about that because people worry about that all the time. It's like some sort of excuse. I don't want to hire people because I don't want them to learn the super secret sauce of how to mow a lawn. You know, and so I trained a ton of people that ended up starting landscaping companies in direct competition to me. They even tried to steal my customers, but I was never worried about it. Number one, because I built I built my business on relationship. And so I trusted the relationship, and I figured, well, if one of my customers wants to do something disloyal, then I don't need them. So I wasn't worried about it from that perspective. And the other standpoint is, you know, well over 90% of businesses are going to fail. So if they want to, you know, go and do their own thing, fine, let them. They're probably going to fail. You know?
And if it's a restaurant, it's 99%. You know.
Yeah. So
but again, it's always. I got to go in a minute, but you know, you're right. This was really great, just the three of us talking. It's fun to hear. I was listening to you, and I was just going, wow. You know, I can hear you knew what you were doing on the grand scale, and they're just thinking, well, I'll just plug you in here, which of course you would be good at it, but of course that's not what you're wanting either. You know, I mean, once you've put the whole thing together, it's hard to go back to just doing the plug-in as a technician.
Right.
It really is. It's probably short term. It's easier to do the plug-in, but long term you're going to have the same. I already know the outcome, so it's like, okay.
Well, you'll be frustrated more than you are now, because you'll be going, you realize that when you did that, it affected this, and they'll be going, you don't know what you're talking about, you just do sales, and you're like, I've done more than sales. And because you know, let's face it, once you're a king, it's hard to become a peasant. Am I wrong? I mean,
no, I don't want to go back.
Don't get me wrong.
No,
Peasants have their role.
you're not wrong, because I would, thankfully I'm in a position where I can pass up these things and just say, well, I passed it up with the company a month ago or 3 weeks ago. They wanted me to be one of their peasants. And I'm like, no. And Cody said it'll come back around. I didn't think it would come back around in a matter of weeks. And the good thing about this company is they do make a lot of money. So they know how they know how to make a lot of money because they're good technicians. But they're old and they're working their butt off and they want to get out of their business. So as soon as they leave, all that's going to come, it won't exist.